My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. Hosea chapter 4, verse 6. To understand the world we live in, we must understand the symbols surrounding us. This world is run by symbols. Symbols are a method of communicating an idea without having to speak a word. Today, symbols are placed everywhere without us knowing what they mean or who they represent. The thing about it is that the more we see these symbols and do not understand them, or we place a sense of ignorance on them that tells us they are harmless or even sometimes good, we can sometimes be initiated into the occult and mystery religions that are actually against our morals and beliefs. That might have been too deep to just start off with, so let me digress a little. Manly Hall, a 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason, philosopher, and occultist, said this about symbolism in his book, The Secret Teachings of All Ages, written in 1928. Symbolism is the language of the mysteries. By symbols, men have ever sought to communicate to each other those thoughts which transcend the limitations of language. In a single figure, a symbol may both reveal and conceal, for to the wise, the subject of the symbol is obvious, while to the ignorant, the figure remains inscrutable. Hence, he who seeks to unveil the secret doctrine of antiquity must search for that doctrine not upon the open pages of books which might fall into the hands of the unworthy, but in the place where it was originally concealed. Still too deep? Did you catch what he was saying though? Summed up, he basically says symbols are obvious to those who know their meaning, and the ignorant remains impossible to understand or interpret it. And that's why this video is so important. As you begin to study and investigate the history of secret societies, mystery religions, the occult, and ancient pagan civilizations, you begin to understand just how true and deep that quote actually is. To understand symbols, we must dig up their origin, and much of them are often deeply hidden in occult mysteries. If we remain ignorant to them, we can become seriously deceived. If you understand what you're seeing, it's very easy to understand why and how the world is so wicked and how far we have moved towards darkness. Things that were once done in secret are now done by the masses. It's a signal to them that the world is ready to accept what they've been planning in secret for ages. This video is not just another video showing sellouts using satanic gestures. The purpose of this video, as is the purpose of all my videos on this channel, is to educate you on what you are seeing and what it means, so that through knowledge we can diminish the effect these symbols play upon us, our children, our family, and our friends. Knowledge is power, and that is why the elite a long time ago made it their mission to remove our power through reducing our knowledge to zero. So this video will cover symbols. This is just the introduction. There are many symbols, so I will teach on more in future videos. The first part about symbolism that I need to communicate is that you cannot change the meaning of a symbol. If a symbol was originally created to portray or communicate a specific message, it doesn't matter what you decide that you want to use it for. It still means what it always was meant to mean. The only thing that it means for you is that you've been using and representing something that you do not completely understand. It's very possible that you're promoting, representing, and or communicating something that is totally against what you really believe in. Let's use an example. Let's take this symbol. This is a pentagram. We start with this because it is an easy recognizable symbol, and for the most part, many people know it's satanic. Now, you can't just take this symbol and then say you're making it represent Yahshua now. In your heart, you might really believe it to be true that you're doing a good thing by taking the bad and reclaiming it. But while you're transmitting this symbol with a pure heart, everyone that knows what the symbol really means is seeing Satan. The only person that is deceived would be you and whoever was influenced by you. Please understand you cannot change the meaning of a symbol, no matter how noble your intentions. The second part I need to communicate is just because you see someone use these symbols doesn't mean that they're a sellout. Now, they're definitely deceived, and let's not even beat around the bush with that, but not everyone is a sellout. Many are just confused and don't have enough knowledge. But trust, there are a majority of people in the limelight that do use these symbols, and they are in fact sellouts. The way you understand the difference is reviewing them completely and not just by one picture. But please understand, if they are embraced by the world, or they have a job that they will be seen or noticed by many, and they use these symbols, not to mention they are associating with other known sellouts, it is a high probability they have already sold out in some way as well. There's levels to this understanding, and that's why if you understand the symbols completely and then understand the dynamics of the underworld, it's easy to understand the sellouts from the deceived. The last point to understand is that symbolism is so dangerous, not primarily because of our conscious minds, but our subconscious minds. This is a part of our brain that we are not trained to guard. But if you understand what you're seeing, your subconscious will be trained to know that you are just seeing and coming across evil consistently. Let me explain just a little deeper. Our conscious minds, which is always busy trying to make meaningful sense of everything we see and hear, is limited as to how much it can process. Very much like a computer, if you give it too much to process at once, it could overload. But our subconscious mind is constantly collecting and storing all information, especially information which our conscious mind is unable to process immediately. This is why people that understand this specifically target our subconscious. This is why advertising agencies hire psychologists. Psychology is the study of the mind, and they need to understand how the mind works in order to manipulate it to do what they're promoting. Have you ever heard a song a few times and then all of a sudden knew the lyrics without ever training your mind to actually know the lyrics yourself? That's your subconscious learning things without you actually training yourself to do it. So symbolism attacks our conscious minds as well as our subconscious minds. And this is how subliminal messages get through. The definition of subliminal is below the threshold of sensation or consciousness, perceived by or affecting someone's mind without their being aware of it. Subliminal messages are specifically designed to influence our mental processes and behavior. This is why they're used. So the more you see these symbols throughout the days, weeks, months, years, you are being communicated a message that you are seeing all the time, but do not clearly know it is happening or what is actually being communicated to you. Listen to Will Smith explain it in the movie Focus.
How did you know who he was going to pick?
We told him to. We've been telling him all day.
From the moment he left his hotel room, we've been priming him, programming his subconscious. He's been seeing the number 55 all day long. On the elevator, in the lobby, even the stick pin on the doormat. Not only that, we loaded his route from the hotel to the stadium. He looks out the window, primers are everywhere. Now he doesn't see it, but he does. There's no getting around it. He even sees far.
That is genius.
Yeah, and it's not only what he sees, it's what he hears. The Mandarin word for 5 is wu. There are 124 woo-woos in sympathy for the devil. Now he's not registering it, but it's all there. So when he picks up those binoculars, looks out on the field, sees a familiar face with the number 55 on his jersey, some little voice in the back of his mind says, that's it. And he thinks it's intuition, and he picks.
Do you want me to write it down?
And you, being in the dark, was the convincer. We call that the little blind mouse.
Movies today always seems to communicate what they're doing. The thing is, most of us aren't paying enough attention. So all these points about symbols need to be understood. Now, I wish they were trying to subliminally transmit signals and messages that promoted righteousness, but they are actually doing the opposite. And the effects of what they're doing can directly be seen when reviewing the change in our morals and values over time. Over time, you have seen these symbols more and more in abundance, while over time, you have also seen our moral fabric shifting and changing. And I'm not placing the blame 100% on symbolism, but when I see someone that says they love Yahweh hold up a sign that says I love Lucifer, there's a problem and it needs to be addressed. Our society is shaped by our morals and beliefs. Our morals and beliefs are influenced by what we watch, read, and hear. What's acceptable in our society today was once completely unacceptable not even 50 to 60 years ago. That's greatly due to what has been transmitted to us over time. We've had a very subtle, but definitely steady decline in our standards of acceptance in regards to things like sex, violence, language, blasphemy, etc. And that's all because of what has been presented by mass media through formats like music, movies, video games, television, sports, etc. We have become completely desensitized to things our grandparents' generation, as a majority, found completely inappropriate for mass consumption. You must understand the global elite, the members of these secret societies, and the people of the occult that are working towards a specific agenda are obsessed with symbolism and numerology. One of the globalist elite favorite strategy is to leave blueprints to their plans hidden right in plain sight. They tell us what they're planning and where the world is going, but they also know the majority is not paying attention. Think about it. Look at the movies that speak about the future. A majority of movies about the future portray some kind of global government or global catastrophe. From all these messages, and the symbolism specifically, we are constantly reminded by these occultists, Satanists, Illuminati, Freemasons, or however you want to classify them as a whole, that we are accepting their system and they are in control. The symbols communicate allegiance of the person displaying the symbol, or just simply to know whose agenda this is a part of. So now that all the preliminary info is given, I can now start explaining these symbols. If there are things about symbolism that you still do not understand, not about the symbol directly, but why they matter so much or are dangerous, if you leave your question in the comments, I can maybe address it in future videos. But I think you have at least a foundation on symbolism right now. The best thing you can do is to have knowledge, and if you're still watching, that's what I will be trying to provide you. Let's begin. The all-seeing eye. I'm covering this symbol because this is something that is probably thrown at you everywhere, and while many of us recognize it, how many can really say they really understand what it is? It's on the back of our dollar bill. We see entertainers and top stars constantly displaying it. But again, where does it come from? And what does it mean? It's communicated in different forms. Sometimes it's a single eye within a pyramid, just like what's on the dollar bill of what they call the Great Seal of the United States. It's also just presented as a single eye by itself. It's one eye, and people show it in many ways. I mean, look at my son's Mario game on the iPad. They give it everywhere. It's also referred to as your third eye. It's symbolized in multiple different ways, but at the root, it means one thing. In a short summary, this is just a representation of Lucifer. It's the eye of Lucifer. When you see this, it simply represents Lucifer. But here's more background information. It's supposed to reference God watching over mankind, only it's not the God of Israel. It's also reference to the eye of providence. The eye itself is a powerful symbol, going back to ancient roots in Egypt, also known as the Eye of Horus. If you've seen part 1 of my History of Religion series, you will know exactly who Horus is. The Eye of Horus, often seen with an eyebrow above, represents the supposed omnipresent vision of the sun god Horus. It also represents secret or occult wisdom. This eye was painted on the sides of Egyptian funerary caskets in the hope that it would enable the corpse to see its way through the journey of the afterlife. The eye itself is often associated with the idea of light and spirit. It is often referred to as the mirror of the soul. The eye is representing God within. Like the third eye, for example. The third eye signifies the higher self, the part of man's consciousness that is ego-free and can guide and direct him. Our other two primary eyes are used for outward vision, while the third eye in the center is the eye of wisdom. It supposedly directs its view internally. This is why you always see the Buddha with this third eye, or you hear others talking about opening their third eye. The all-seeing eye within Freemasonry is shown in the triangle with rays of light emanating from the lower lid. The Masonic Dictionary says it is an important symbol of the Supreme Being, the sign of omniscience. In Freemasonry, it stands for the great architect of the universe. So we see the symbol used in many different ways, but all very similar. At the core and foundation of what you are seeing is actually Lucifer. Anytime you see this reference to one eye, they are referencing Lucifer, and that's why all the meanings of the symbol all closely align with the spiritual knowledge of good and evil that the serpent promised Eve if she disobeyed Elohim. This knowledge includes the knowledge that Satan is the god of this world who rewards them that serve and worship him. So understand that anytime you are seeing this eye, it represents Lucifer and his false knowledge. Anyone that says they're opening their third eye is actually tapping into the knowledge of Lucifer. When you see the stars and actors doing the one eye symbol, the masses just sum it up as representing that they are part of the Illuminati. what they are actually representing is their allegiance to Lucifer. So anytime you see the symbol in all or different forms, you're seeing a representation of Lucifer, and that's why the symbol is seen everywhere. You need to understand this and teach your kids that too. This symbol has no effect on my youngest son because he sees it everywhere and points it out. He recognizes evil and is not giving him tolerance of Lucifer. Like I tried to explain in the long intro, it's not that you will be worshiping Lucifer yourself, but that you are gaining a tolerance for him, and also that you're being prepared for his arrival on the scene. This isn't about a secret society like the Illuminati. They are preparing the world for Satan, and the more you see the symbol and gain tolerance of it, you are gaining tolerance and acceptance of him. If you have opened the third eye, you have allowed a demon in, and you need to remove it. This is what the symbol means. The horned hand, or El Diablo. This symbol is just full of deception, because over time it has been used for many different things. At one time, people thought it was a symbol for rock and roll, or it was a sign to ward off the evil eye. It has a lot of different names, but what it represents is again very simple. And before I explain it, listen to what Anton LaVey, founder of the Church of Satan, has to say about it.
Would you like me to show them how the sign of the curse works?
Sign of the curse?
Completely different.
How does it go?
No, not at you people out there in the audience, but this is the difference.
Aim it toward Red China, would you?
This is the sign of the horns, a curse sign, the two fingers extended. This way, spread apart for sort of shotgun blast,
I always
all over.
figured if I ever
When
met
it's
the devil, it'd have dirty fingernails. Go on.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are.
Where?
Dirty fingernails.
Well, that's because I've been fooling around with your equipment.
Never mind. Don't blame it on the studio. Go on with it.
All right.
So that's the sign of the horn, and then what happens? Is that it?
Well, there are other ones, too.
Yeah, what are the other ones?
The other one's, one of them's the pox sign. That's 3 fingers extended.
A pox on you?
A pox on you. During the Middle Ages, this was...
Yeah. Oh, yes.
But
You're
originally...
a bad cat.
Well, you have to be bad to be good, don't
Is it
you?
true that you teach people how to make voodoo dolls and stick pins in them to hurt people?
That's right. I believe that hate is necessary in a controlled way just as much as love is necessary.
He calls it the sign of the curse. And listen, if that doesn't do it for you, knowing that you may be using a sign or have tolerance of a sign that the founder of the Church of Satan uses as well, then you may need more understanding than this video can provide. This symbol is used in a few different ways. The hand gesture is shown like this, with the thumb in, and like this, with the thumb out. Most people like to say that, no, this sign means I love you in sign language. But all one needs to do is a small amount of research, and you will find that Helen Keller was a Satanist and a Theosophist. This is easily proven by reading from her books. She was a published author. One of her books, originally called My Religion, published in 1927, later was revised in 1994 and called Light in My Darkness. Read from this book and you can see her beliefs are guided through Satan and not Elohim, spreading that false light. So anyway, this sign is not a sign for I love you, but more in fact a sign for I love you, Satan. This sign is called the horned hand and is believed to be the depiction of the woolly goat of Mendes or Baphomet. It is synonymous with Satan or Lucifer. It is done in 3 ways with the hand. This type is meant for the right hand. In this gesture, the thumb should be kept under the clenched middle and ring fingers. This hand sign signifies the horn god of witchcraft. Again, this is Satan. The second type of gesture is meant for the left hand. In this case, the thumb should be kept over the middle and ring fingers. This hand sign is usually used to curse someone by pointing it directly towards the person. This is what Anton LaVey referenced as the sign of the curse. Then there's the way of I love you or rock and roll. These signs are used in so many different ways, but again, like the all-seeing eye, it is all a reference to Lucifer. One way, if pointed at you, literally can mean someone is trying to place a curse upon you. The other 2 ways is in reference to allegiance to Satan. This is a symbol that many want to ignore the underlying meaning and make it represent what they want it to, because over time it just has many different meanings. They have this sign shown through many people, and because you think it can mean different things, you may give the person using this sign a pass and say they must mean it in a good way. Let me explain. There are no good ways in showing this sign. It 100% is reference to Satan. If you are using it and think it means something different to you, you have been deceived. This is a satanic symbol with many different names. I have the names listed on my website. You need to be aware. There can be much more said about this because it's used so much. But if you recognize the 3 ways it's used with the hand, and every time you see it, you see a representation of Lucifer, you are awake on what it means, and we are bringing down its power against society one by one. So in conclusion of this part, you have really understood symbolism and why and how it's used. But you also learned about 2 of the most used signs that literally is referencing Satan. Whenever you see these symbols used, even if you want to give the person displaying the symbol the benefit of the doubt, please know that the symbol means Lucifer, and you cannot afford to be deceived. I want you to have no tolerance for Lucifer, and instead of being desensitized by his influence, you should now be sensitive to it. When you see a representation of Lucifer all over, and then you see so many influencers promoting him, it's very easy to see how far into darkness the world has really gotten. You need to have knowledge of what's going on, and then be saved by the blood of Yahshua to really fight the spiritual battles that these symbols are provoking. If you've opened your third eye, either by accident, knowingly, or unknowingly, you need to rebuke it in the name of Yahshua and close that spiritual door. For time purposes, I only covered these 2 symbols, but I will be covering a lot more in other videos. My only goal is to educate you and give you power. What you do with it is your decision, but I hope that you use it to serve Yahweh and commit your life to Him. The more evil you see the world, the more conviction you'll have not to be swayed by it. If you are not subscribed to this channel, please make sure you do. If this blessed you, please like it and share it with others. This isn't just a video calling out sellouts because of hand gestures and symbols. You should now be educated on what you're seeing. Please follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you for watching. Thanks again for your support. I love you all. Am I therefore become your enemy because I tell you the truth? Galatians chapter 4, verse 16. This is often how I feel when I would personally speak to people about the wickedness of this world. I would often speak to them in love because I know I have spent years of researching topics they haven't spent a second to consider. So I often would try to explain history of things we are seeing and doing, not out of judgment of them, because I was once ignorant to the many secrets of this world too. But I taught to them in concern and love, so they do not stray away too far that they moved away from Elohim completely. But instead of having good, fruitful discussions, I often became an enemy of many. So much so that my circle became smaller and smaller, until it just became my wife, my kids, and myself, and whoever Elohim sent to us along the way. But I'm confident that that's what many of you watching this video either have encountered or will encounter as you keep seeing the darkness and exposing it. My hope is that you can use this video and others like it to speak to others without you having to speak to them yourself. Now let's get this clear. I'm not an expert on the occult. I have never gone to that darker side, and I'm sure that there are others who have an even stronger understanding of these symbols than I do. I am just one that was woken up and now don't believe in coincidences. So when I keep seeing the same things over and over from different peoples and groups, I feel I need to understand it so that I do not get taken advantage by it. Over the years, this strategy has developed into a stronger understanding of the many things most people like to shrug off as coincidences. Now I understand the power structure of this world, and don't get me wrong, there are coincidences, but the things I will present are not. I would not be presenting them if they were just mere coincidences. They all have symbolic meanings, and the goal of this series is not to make you an expert on the occult, but to make you at least knowledgeable about the things you're seeing so the devil does not take advantage of you. So when people are making these symbols look cool, you just don't start flashing them or wear them as well. Or when they make a new dance that seems hip, but it really is completely satanic, you don't do the dance because you recognize what you're seeing. The goal is for you to be like the Apostle Paul, who said he would not let Satan take advantage of him because he is not ignorant of his devices. Let's begin. The 666 or OK sign. Now I think this symbol is the most irritating to me of all the symbols. Now don't get me wrong, they are all completely evil and satanic, but this symbol communicates so many different things while at the same time is used by so many people in different ways. Mind you, none of the ways that the majority of the trusting public sees it are true at all. They show it in many different ways. When I was a kid, it used to mean okay or A-OK. Now today, I rarely see people use it to display that. They use it for other meanings, like in the NBA, they say it means a three-pointer. Referees in the NFL use it for third down or other sports to represent the number 3. When in the past, people used to hold the number 3 up like this. Music entertainers are throwing up the sign, and they're not even saying what they're communicating when they throw this sign up a million times. Even Kappa Alpha Psi, a Greek letter organization, uses this as their hand symbol. Just like the Sigmas use the devil horn sign that I explained in part 1. By the way, there's no coincidence that these organizations are using satanic gestures, but that's another teaching and a topic on its own, which has to be done. Now, what many other people refer to this hand gesture as is the Hindu mudra gesture for spirituality. But it's very hard to explain that in depth without explaining these Eastern religions of spirituality. All I would say is that every belief that speaks on spirituality is in fact speaking about demons, and the practices they partake in is about channeling spirits. But the way that we see this hand gesture presented in most things is not in the form of Hindu, so I will leave that topic until we discuss yoga. The way that is used today in the majority is as the OK sign, or 666, or the approval of the divine king. The symbol has many different parts to it, but all of it has once again everything to do with Satanism, so it needs to be understood. As I said earlier, it's universally meant as a sign for OK, or everything is alright, A-OK. But for the illuminated ones, aka workers of Satan, their philosophy of that symbol is that it's a sign indicating approval of the divine king, their coming Lord of Light. If you watch Game of Thrones, that name Lord of Light should ring a bell. You know the god everyone refers to as Lord of Light is Lucifer, right? That's Satan. Remember, Lucifer is the light bearer. Every character in the Game of Thrones who believes in the Lord of Light is a Satanist. I thought I'd just throw that info in there for you to think on. So anyway, the sign means he approves of our undertaking. Like I said, it's a sign indicating approval of the divine king, the illuminated one's coming Lord of Light, who believers in the Messiah know as the Antichrist. It's almost equivalent to some of the words in Latin, again on the back of the United States dollar bill. This dollar bill really does communicate a lot of things. It makes you wonder why they don't really teach us about all these symbols that they put on the dollar bill in our public education system. I mean, it is our currency. Why aren't they teaching us what's on it? Anyways, the words are annuit coitus, which means he favors our undertaking. Look at the dollar bill. What is the symbol right under these words? This tells you who it is that favors the undertaking. You know the symbol well if you watch part 1 of the series. And then I guess you would like to know what that undertaking is. The other words in Latin are Novus Ordo Seclorum, translated New Order of the Ages, today also known as the New World Order. But this is off topic, so I leave it there for you to research this on your own. I will speak about this in the future when I discuss Mystery Babylon. But the real part of this symbol is how it's used in Satanism. In Satanism, when making the sign, the 3 fingers not used to make the circle are considered symbolic of the unholy trinity, the horn god, goddess, and offspring, Antichrist. It is also a representation of the beast, 666. In Revelation chapter 13, it says, "Here is the wisdom. He who has understanding, let him calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Look at the fingers carefully. The first 6 is with the index finger and thumb together, along with the middle finger. Then there is the next 6, which is when you replace the middle finger with the ring finger. And the last 6 is replacing the ring finger with the pinky. So there are 3 separate 6s. This is 666. When they are flashing the sign, they are again flashing allegiance to the coming Antichrist and preparing the way for him. Many of them make the sign even more blatant when they place the 3 6s over their one eye. They are not hiding their allegiance and who they serve. Every one of them is showing who their God is. When they show it in videos and on magazines, they are able to show this because most of the general public doesn't have a clue what it means. And at worst, the majority will just say they are part of the Illuminati because they don't often have a clue what the Illuminati is. All of our favorite actors and actresses, all of our favorite singers and rappers, gospel singers and rappers too, our favorite athletes, and our politicians all flash this sign. They put it in our culture for our children and many adults to see it as harmless. Everyone is being conditioned to accept the coming Antichrist, but they think it's harmless. Understand, it doesn't mean three-pointers when you see Jay-Z and Beyonce or Lady Gaga throwing it up. The deception is real. When you see this symbol, please know it means 666. You must recognize the wickedness in all this, and if you have kids, make sure they recognize it too. Because all their heroes are throwing it up, and they will follow them if they do not know any better. Even though everyone seems to have a general acceptance for it, you should not. They are preparing the world for the Antichrist. The inverted cross. This is the upside-down cross of the Apostle Peter. It is an extremely sinister symbol, and actually one of the biggest symbols to represent Satanism. Nero, an emperor of Rome, was known for his cruelty, particularly towards those he labeled as Christians. Peter, the rock of the church, was chosen to be executed, as were the other disciples other than John. Peter felt unworthy of being crucified on the same type of cross as the Messiah, so they turned the cross upside down. This is where you get the inverted cross from. It is used as a mockery of the Messiah, a symbol of their goal of destroying the church. Remember, Peter was the rock that the Messiah built his church upon. It is an extremely wicked symbol. Catholics view this symbol as a sign of deep humility and unworthiness in the sight of the Messiah, based on this story I just told. But it's all rooted in Satanism, and that belief is deception. It is the sign of Satanism, and you will see Satanists use this symbol. So when you see a cross, look to see how it's represented. An upside-down cross is a mockery, and it's blaspheme. This is why you see Satanists use it. The sad thing is, look at how Catholics use it when they do the Father, Son, Holy Spirit across their chests. They are making the form of an inverted cross. The things we do that we just don't really understand. They may justify it, but this whole event of Peter being crucified upside down was persecution. He did not conquer death. His death was his last stand, and any representation of this is a mockery, and it's wicked, which is why Satanists love it. When you see this symbol, know what it means. If you're part of the church, it's a mockery of you. I had to explain this symbol in order to break down this last symbol. The peace sign. Okay, this sign may trip you up because we have all flashed this sign. This is a symbol that we have been given to represent peace. But though we use the symbol, most of us have no clue where this symbol comes from. The first thing we should understand is that this gesture is actually a representation of this symbol. It's also referenced as a peace symbol. But what this symbol actually is an inverted cross with his arms broken. Back in the 1960s, this sign was promoted as a sign of peace. 1950s peace advocator Gerald Holtram was said to be commissioned by communist sympathizer Bertrand Russell to design a symbol to unite leftist peace marchers in 1958. They deemed this symbol, also known as the Teutonic Rune of Death or the Neronic Cross, as their representation of peace. And to the uninformed public, that's all we allow ourselves to know about it. This is what it looks like outside of the circle. The occultist Albert Pike also identifies the symbol as mystical in his book on Freemasonry, Morals and Dogma. The peace symbol is also called the broken cross, crow's foot, witch's foot, Nero's cross, and the sign of the broken Jew. It's really the inverted cross with the arms broken. According to Kathy Burns, author of Masonic and Occult Symbols Illustrated, she has a quote from a former witch. It is an ancient and powerful symbol of Antichrist. During the Dark Ages, it was used in Druid witchcraft and by Satanists of all sorts during the initiation of a new member to their order. They would draw the magic circle and give the initiate a cross. The initiate would then lift the cross and turn it upside down. He would then renounce Christianity in all three dimensions of time, past, present, and future, and break the horizontal pieces downward, forming the design of the raven's foot. This ugly symbol is nothing short of blasphemy against the Holy Ghost. For one to wear or display this symbol is to announce either knowingly or unknowingly that you have rejected Christ. Remember, symbolism is a picture language. This also goes for the hand sign that we use for peace as well, but I'll give a little bit more information on that in the next video. This information may overwhelm you, being that you've seen these things all your life. This is one definition of being born into bondage. We accept things we don't fully know the true meaning of. It's extremely dangerous. Reject these symbols and do not use them. It does not change your life in any way. I know the next feeling is, what if you've used these symbols before and you did not know what you were doing? Even if you did not know what you were doing, you should repent. This is why we perish for a lack of knowledge. Now what you must do is stop perishing. Ask Elohim for forgiveness and move away from any of these influences. This is not a message of condemnation, but of liberation. With knowledge, you can be free from wickedness and deception. So listen, if this message blessed you, please like it and share it with others. Please help wake others up. Please subscribe to my channel if you're not already done so. Just click the link. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Thanks for watching. I appreciate the support. I love you all. In this series about symbols, we have primarily covered hand symbols. I cover them first because these are things we have tendencies to do ourselves. And it's important to understand things so that we do not promote the wicked or defile ourselves because of our lack of knowledge. Hosea 4:6, a much-known scripture says, "My people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge." So as we begin to understand these different things, we begin to slow this down and reverse it. But there is much more than these hand signs that we need to be aware of. This world is filled with symbols. These symbols have been used to communicate different things to different people. But what you will find is that the majority of these symbols are used to transmit the occult. You must understand why. The word occult can normally scare someone because it sounds evil. But at the base, occult simply means hidden. Much of these symbols were used to communicate things that only the initiated would understand. But today, we are in the age of information. So if we choose to dig deeper, we can get a grasp of what we are seeing. Now I am certain that there are even deeper levels of understanding to these symbols that we are not aware of. The information that these men put into books, like Albert Mackey's Masonic Dictionary, are all surface level knowledge. Masonic writers like Carl Claudy wrote that, "Cut through the outer shell and find a meaning. Cut through that meaning and find another. Under it, if you dig deep enough, you may find a third, a fourth. Who shall say how many teachings?" It is not my intention to dig so deep. If at the first layer I have found that occultists have created and used the symbol to communicate their occultic ideas, that's enough for me to stay away from it. The reason for these videos is because what was once held in secret and amongst the wicked is now being brought out to the light. All because they want to transmit the acceptance of their false god and his coming era of worship. Their goal has been to subtly introduce the world to their religion, while never telling you that you are accepting a religion. So when you start saying things like, "Oh, it's like yin and yang," or "we all need balance," you may think that you sound deep, but what has happened is that you are just speaking in the terms of a form of occult reasoning. Or another example is when you place a symbol on your car or at your home, and you think that you're representing and supporting a certain nation, but in fact you're representing the occult. These are examples of deception, and when you examine yourself, you can see just how true Hosea 4:6 really is. If you are doing things thinking that you are representing Elohim, but in fact you are representing Satan, it's very easy to understand why this lack of knowledge could destroy you. So I believe it's time to reverse this trend, and that's why I've made this series, and I hope that's why you're watching. Let's begin. The pentagram. I hate this symbol, and though most understand it means Luciferian worship, many still don't have much information about it. Satanists and witches love the pentagram. It has always been used in ritual magic and is used for divination, the conjuring of spirits, and to summon demonic help. In the Dictionary of Mysticism, we learn that the pentagram is considered by occultists to be the most potent means of conjuring spirits. When a single point of the star points upward, it is regarded as the sign of the good and a means to conjure up benevolent spirits. When the single point points down and a pair of points are on top, it is the sign of the evil, Satan, and is used to conjure powers of evil. So what they're trying to say is this pentagram pointing upwards is used for good, and the inverted pentagram pointing downwards is used for evil. Now this understanding goes into another teaching on the occult. There's white magic and black magic. Like in the Wizard of Oz, they have a white witch and a black witch. The white witch was good, and the black witch was evil. Now I'm sure people would like to place race into this, but it's not necessarily about race, though I'm sure there's racial undertones to it. Magic is separated into two. And those that do white magic believe they are doing positive, benevolent things. But this is false. They are conjuring up demons, but they think because their purpose is for good, they are doing a good thing. People who practice black magic know exactly what they're doing, and they don't hide it. So in this explanation about whether the point is up or down, there truly is no difference. Magic is magic. It's just the white magicians are deceived they are doing good. You may meet a lot of people who practice white magic, like Wiccans. Do not be deceived by them or what they say. There is no good magic. Conjuring spirits and demons is extremely dangerous and always advised against. The difference in whether it is pointed up is simply a representation for witchcraft, and the inverted pentagram is a representation for Satanism. So this is the witch's pentagram, and this is the Satanist pentagram. But in the end, it doesn't matter. No matter what, it is a symbol used to represent occult magic. In white magic, Wiccan witchcraft uses the symbol to represent the 5 elements of nature: earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. The top point corresponding to spirit, the unifying element. Many Wiccans will wear this as an amulet and believe it to bring good fortune and ward off harm. They are often referred to as pentacles, and they are often used in windows and doorways to bless and protect a dwelling. This may be true, but only because they have brought in a demon that is doing the protection. The point you should understand is that when you see someone wear this, they are more than likely a witch. When you see these symbols in people's homes, you should understand they play with witchcraft or they really just are doing things they don't understand. Either way, it's dangerous. Television and movies like to portray witches as these dark, evil figures that are just conjuring up magic under some evil pot, conjuring up spells. But in fact, witches are just people who practice magic. Some white magic, some black magic. They don't wear a sign on their back saying that they are witches, and they look very much like any other person, except they conjure up spells. If you have spoken with people in the outside world, it's highly likely that you have spoken with witches, 1 or 2 at least, that you did not know were witches. Men should know this especially, because a lot of times you can meet a very promiscuous woman and she's giving up very easy. But it's in fact because she's a witch and she knows she's placing a spell upon you. You must understand that this world is very wicked, and Satanists just don't go around broadcasting that they're placing spells upon people. Sometimes they do. Now, when the pentagram is pointing down, as it is on the Satanic Bible, the star signifies the church of Satan's symbolic power from hell. Former witch, Mason, Mormon, and Satanist Bill Schnobelin emphasized that, to the magician, the inverted pentagram has one use only, and that is to call up the power of Satan and bring the kingdom of the devil into manifestation on earth. It is also used to represent the goat of Mendes. They have placed the head of the Baphomet within the star. It represents evil, point blank. So the pentagram is a very important symbol used in calling demons and as an aid in the casting of spells. No matter how you see it used, it represents wickedness and evil. Witches often draw the pentagram and then place a circle around it. This is used to conjure up the demon, and the circle is used to contain it. Actually, it is said that any occult symbol is considered to be more powerful whenever a circle is placed around it. This is pure wickedness, and I'm pretty much done explaining it. You will see this sign everywhere, and you must have an understanding that evil is attached to it. I remember in 1999 when the movie Belly came out. This was a movie heavily promoted to the hip-hop rap community. The first scene of this movie began with a casting of a spell on its audience. They were summoning a spirit using a child who was supposed to be DMX in the movie, drawing a pentagram, while DMX said he sold his soul to the devil. It was pure wickedness, but everybody watching the movie had no clue that they were casting a spell on them. Everything that was happening in the movie after that was all a part of that spell that they started off with in the beginning of the movie. It's just an example of how they place wickedness in our faces and we devour it willingly because we lack knowledge and understanding. Now you will know what you're seeing, and I'm certain you will see it everywhere. It's not a coincidence that the symbol that we all use to represent a star is a pentagram. Keep that in mind. I also want to add that you may see these witches and maybe it frightens you because you know little about them, or you never really believed they existed. Please understand, if you are born again, the Holy Spirit is greater than those demons and principalities they have taken on. What they do cannot come against you if you walk in the power of the Holy Spirit. Do not be scared of witches and warlocks, Satanists and their demons. But don't go playing around with them either. There is nothing to fear if you have the Ruach HaKodesh. It will protect you against their darts. But don't go around playing with them or trying to battle against them if you don't really know how to war in the spirit. Just because you're not to be afraid of them doesn't mean you go looking for trouble. I just want to make that clear. The hexagram or Star of David. I spoke about this symbol briefly in my History of Religion series about King Solomon, part 6. But I didn't go into great depths. This is another symbol that has been used to confuse many. It's primarily because of the names used to represent it. But this symbol needs to be broken down. This symbol hides many layered inner meanings. In its most basic form, this symbol consists of two interlocking equilateral triangles, forming a 6-pointed star. You see the 6 points? From this symbol, you have 4 other symbols. This goes back to the symbols and elements used in witchcraft. These symbols represent the 4 basic elements, and it is what occultists and witches use to bring power within their spells. The basic elements are earth, air, fire, and water. If you started thinking of earth, wind, and fire, you're making a good connection. No, the name of that group is not a coincidence. It's just evidence of the occult all around you. Anyway, the symbol for water is the triangle pointing downwards. The symbol for fire is the triangle pointing upwards. If you go deeper, you will actually understand these symbols to mean the connection between man and woman. Listen how it's explained in the Da Vinci Code.
This is the original icon for male. It's a rudimentary phallus.
Quite to the point.
Yes, indeed. It's known as the blade. It represents aggression and manhood. It's a symbol still used today in modern military uniforms.
Yes, the more penises you have, the higher your rank, boys or big boys.
Now, as you would imagine, the female symbol is its exact opposite. This is called a chalice.
And the chalice resembles a cup or vessel, or more importantly, the shape of a woman's womb. Now,
You connect these two, and this is how you get the hexagram. The air symbol is this, the upward pointing triangle with a line going through it, and the symbol for earth is its opposite, the downward pointing triangle with a line across it. These 4 symbols are all in the hexagram. So with all these symbols of witchcraft mixed with one symbol, you can see why it is such a strong symbol for witches and occultists. But let's add to that understanding. It is also a sexual symbol, as the fire and water symbols, like I said earlier, also represent male and female organs. It represents a sexual union. When the male triangle penetrates the female triangle, it produces the hexagram, and it is the most wicked symbol in witchcraft. Bill Schnobelin, a former Satanist, tells us, to the sorcerer, the hexagram is a powerful tool to invoke Satan. In fact, this is where the word hex, as in putting a hex or curse on people, comes from. I know that's interesting because many of us have heard the word hex, meaning curse, but not many of us have correlated it with an actual hexagram. It's deep. But let's go deeper. If you examine it closely, you will see something you may not have ever expected. 666. Look, it has 6 points. Then it forms 6 equilateral triangles. Then in its interior, you will see a 6-sided hexagon. This shows 666, revealing the number of the beast of Revelation. So this symbol has many different things going on within it, but none of them are good. It is a heavy symbol used in the occult world. So let's address the elephant in the room. Although the symbol is now the most commonly used and recognized symbol for the state of Israel in Judaism, it was not always so. In fact, this symbol only began to be recognized as a symbol for about 200 years. It's called the Star of David, but you will not find any mention of it in scripture of history of King David bearing the symbol. Now, a reference to Solomon, because they also call it the Seal of Solomon, there is legend of him with this symbol, but is not from the point of view of the Bible. Solomon was a very wise king, but he also made very big mistakes. You should watch part 6 of my series on history of religion to understand more about him. The references to him using this symbol come from the side that are against Yahweh. It is said that among the Eastern nations, King Solomon is again esteemed as a great magician who had great power over the spirit world. It was said he gained this power from Satan, who gave him a ring of power with a symbol on the ring. This symbol is known as the Seal of Solomon, and it is this hexagram. The symbol was supposedly used on Solomon's ring and gave him the power to understand and communicate with animals, and to conjure up spirits to do his bidding. This is what the Seal of Solomon is. It is not found in scripture, but spoken about through Freemasonry and the occult. But this is all that it could have to do with Israel. In fact, scripture actually speaks against this symbol. Amos chapter 5, verse 26 says, "But ye have been born the tabernacle of your Moloch, and Chayun your images, the star of your God, which ye made to yourselves." This is the star of their God. It's a hexagram. This symbol is everywhere. It's also hidden on the US dollar bill. There was much things placed in the design of this dollar bill. That's why, as all the designs have changed in the different denominations, the $1 bill has been constant. This is not a symbol of Yahweh. This does not represent him. He does not mix with the occult and pagans. So when you are seeing this, you must understand that there is deception trapped and surrounding this symbol. This symbol was used by the converted Jews in Europe. It became a family crest or shield by the Rothschild family during the 19th century. The Rothschilds brought much of the land in Israel from the Arabs and Turks and were huge supporters of the Zionist movement. These are terms you should research on your own: Zionism and Khazars. This will help you understand who Yahshua is speaking about in Revelation chapter 2 verse 9 and chapter 3 verse 9. So after the Holocaust, the Rothschild family donated the land they owned of what was known as Palestine at the time. The United Nations then gave this land to these converted Jews so that they would have a homeland and would never have to face the kind of oppression and slaughter they had during the Holocaust. Thus, the State of Israel was created. The hexagram, also known as the Magen David, or Shield of David, or Star of David, or Seal of Solomon, was adopted as a symbol of the nation. But this again has nothing to do with Yahweh, but everything to do with Satan. With all the different pieces of symbolism tied into it, along with the use from witches and Satanists, it's obvious that this is nothing that Yahweh wants to use to represent his land. Do not be deceived by this hexagram, or Star of David, or Seal of Solomon, whatever they want to call it. It is used by witches to conjure up spirits. It is a powerful symbol for the occult. But these two symbols are just purely wicked. Though you see them everywhere, you may wonder what you're looking at. And I hope this explains enough to you that you do not use these symbols if you worship Yahweh, the one true God of Israel. Or you may be able to identify witches and cultists when you're outside in the public. They don't walk around broadcasting their belief, but they are definitely out there. If you recognize certain things and symbols, you can be aware of who you are encountering. When you see people using these symbols, you must question what you are seeing. It's either that they are heavily deceived or they are in fact a deceiver. Always understand, the more we see these symbols and the more they are generally accepted, the more we know how far we are from Yahweh and how close we are to Satan. Today we use a completely satanic symbol to try to represent Yahweh's people to the world. Well, that's what the knowledge of the world today wants us to believe. It's just like Satan to use his symbol to represent what he wants to pass off as Yahweh's chosen people. And if you understand this level of deception, it may help you understand a much bigger piece to this deception. This is not a video to explain this in depth. I just encourage you to try to understand this on your own. Like I said, go to Revelation chapter 2 verse 9 and 3 verse 9 and research Khazars and Zionists. I hope this video opened your eyes to the things you were not aware of. Your world is inundated with witchcraft and the occult. The only problem is that most of us don't know it. When you start gaining knowledge, you gain power against them preying on your ignorance. You also gain discernment so that you are not taken advantage of. We have all been deceived by these symbols. It's time that the deception stops. You must understand that Revelation chapter 12 verse 9 said, "And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceived the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him." This scripture says he deceived the whole world. This channel is about waking you up to the deception, and more importantly, filling you up with his word so that you can grow your relationship stronger with the one who truly matters. This world is passing away, and when you're able to see the influence of the enemy in our culture, My hope is that you not only gain power over all this deception, but you also gain continuous conviction to get right with Yahweh today. Because clearly, time is running out. If you want to understand about that more, I encourage you to watch my video about proof that we are in the end times. So listen, thanks for watching. If this has blessed you, please like it and share it with others. Spread the knowledge. If you are not subscribed to this channel, please do so. My goal is to prepare you for the Messiah. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you, everyone that supports this ministry. You are all a blessing to me. I hope this video has helped you. May Elohim bless you. Thanks again. I love you all.